Hello, everyone. Again, good evening, and thanks for joining tonight's session for World Affairs Council of Houston's trip to Japan, Japan Express at the end of March. The dates will be March 31st through April 8th. It's a 9-day, 7-night trip to Japan. And as Amy mentioned, you must have received already the brochure for this trip in your emails, and also you will find it on the website, and the pricing will be available by the beginning of January. So now I will share my screen and just go over the itinerary, a few details, and not only the itinerary, but if you're just interesting tidbit about Japan, Japanese culture. And let me first start sharing my screen with you. And here it is. Now you must be seeing the cover page of the presentation. Now, before starting the presentation, let me just quickly change the screen to the map of Japan. As you know, it's in Far East. It's a country of islands. Mainly, there are 3.5 of them big: Honshu, the big island, and Kyushu to the south, and Hokkaido to the north, and Shikoku to the south. Again, just connected to the big island by causeways and bridges. Now, as you see, it doesn't have any land borders, obviously, but it has sea borders with Russia to the north, and North Korea, north and west, I should say, and then North Korea and South Korea. So the capital is Tokyo here, and Kyoto, the second important city to the south. So those will be the locations that we're going to visit. It's a country of about 124 million people. It's the world's third biggest economy. So economically important, culturally important, and very interesting. And it is a country that is getting older and older, the average age. Just they are known, the Japanese are known for their longevity. It's, of course, on an individual level, something that is good, just living a long and healthy life. But on the other hand, as a society, just their population is shrinking, their labor force is shrinking, and it has negative impacts on their economy. So, having said those, let me just go back to my presentation, and we'll talk about those partly. So just let's start the presentation. As I mentioned, it's a 9-day, 7-night trip, Japan Express. We named it Japan Express for it's just covering the two highlights of the country, very quick, relatively short trip, but it gives you the essentials of the country to be able to understand its culture, its history, its economy. So here a close-up of the map, as I showed you the whole map a short while ago. So we will fly into Kansai International Airport to the south of Osaka, and it is actually, well, the arrow just came here, but it is just this little artificial island here that is the airport, and we'll fly into there. The suggested air flights are on EVA Air, that is a Taiwanese airline flying via Taipei. So Houston to Taipei direct flight, and from there to Kansai International Airport. We'll arrive around noon, and we will take the bus. Just transfer to Kyoto and spend there 3 nights with an excursion to the oldest capital, Nara, close by. And then we will take the bullet train to Tokyo, visiting a couple of locations on the way, and spend 4 nights in Tokyo. And then again from Tokyo, we will fly back via Taipei. Although it is not mentioned in the brochure, just I need to mention that for those of you especially who have attended the session for South Korea, we use the same airline, and on the way back again via Taipei, the capital of Taiwan, it is possible to have a 3-night extension on the way back in Taipei, visiting a number of locations in and around Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. Just mentioning at this point. So let's start with Kyoto. We will fly into Kyoto, as I mentioned. Just our hotel will be in the city center, and it gives the impression it's a low-rise city. It is, first of all, I have to mention that just the size of Japan as a country. It is it more or less the size of California, with 124 million people, and just knowing that only about 10% of the country is inhabited. The rest is mountains, 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 and there's volcanic activity, as I'm sure you know. So all that 124 million people is squeezed in the 10% of the land, which corresponds to the size of California. That is 10% of California, with a population of 124 million people. So we have to keep that in mind with the population density, how dense the population in the cities and the cities and towns are. So Kyoto, that's a low-rise city with a population of about 1.5 million people in the center, with the greater area at about 3.5 million. So when we go into the city center, it doesn't give any inkling of its history. Just it looks like a modern city. But that there's this river running in the middle, and there's the main promenade that people like, especially in good weather. Just there are small restaurants and taverns just overlooking the river. That's the main, one of the main attractions of the city, just to walk around and enjoy the riverside promenade. But there's the historic center. Just most of it is, located or buried in the hills and mountains surrounding today's modern settlement. So we will start with this historic center. And the reason we start with Kyoto is that is the historic capital. So basically with Kyoto and Tokyo, we are covering two capitals of Japan. One is the historic capital, and the other is the modern capital. So Kyoto, and I have to emphasize now, Japan, as just the Emperor of Japan, just we know recently changed hands, and there's a new emperor, and the line, this dynasty that goes back to kind of there aren't much of a historic records of that, but traditionally it goes back to 660 BC. So this is the longest reigning family of monarchs in the world. It's not the United Kingdom or anywhere else. It is Japan that has this longest reigning family of monarchs in history. So Kyoto was the beginning of all. Before that, there was just for a short period Nara, that is the neighboring town, which we are going to visit on our second day or third day, just including the flight time. And we'll start with Kyoto. This was the seat of the emperor from 794 AD all the way to 1868. So it's close to 1,000 years, more than 900 years. It was the capital of the Emperor of Japan. So this is the old town, and the one part of the old town, this just going uphill. This is the main street. Right and left, you see just this leading to one of the main temples that we're going to visit over there. And right and left, there are all these traditional shops selling traditional food, still made in the same way they were made, hundreds of years ago, or handicrafts, or different, clothes and fabric, and all the porcelain, pottery, really beautiful stuff. So generally, it is like this. It is a what is that? Crowded with local and visitor population, sometimes in traditional clothes. And one of the, just Kyoto is famous for its pickles, for example, just all these pickles of various vegetables and root vegetables. These are delicious, my favorite. So that is why I put the picture here. Is one of the shops that is on that street going uphill, going to one of the main temples that we are going to visit. This is here, the entrance to Kiyomizu Dera, Kiyomizu temple. So we will go uphill, climb up the stairs, and it's a huge temple complex. So this is it. This is the main temple here. This was founded in 778 AD. So from the start, just even before the emperor was there, the temple was here. And the present building, of course, these are all wooden buildings, so prone to fire, and it was destroyed a couple of times. This present building is from 1633. And it is built without any nails. So the woodwork is really magnificent. And we will, of course, just walk in and visit the main building and the other buildings surrounding the main building. It is up in the mountains, surrounded by all green forest. So this is one of the highlights. The other place we're going to visit in Kyoto, again related to the time that it was the capital of, well, it wasn't exactly the capital, I should say, but it was the seat of emperor. We'll talk about that, because seat of the emperor and the capital, those were separate things for quite some time. And at the very beginning, at this time, actually, just from 8th century to the beginning of 17th century, it was both the capital and the seat of the emperor. This is Kinkakuji. This is another temple that we are going to visit, a World Heritage site, UNESCO World Heritage site. It was founded in 7th century. Now, talking about the temples, the religion in Japan. Now, I have to mention that Japanese, in general, they don't consider themselves religious. And if you ask them, to a person, what religion are you? What's your religion? Just they say, I don't have any religion. For it is more, practical, or they are more practical, I should say. There is the indigenous religion, which is more animistic, Shintoism, right? So there are Shinto temples, and then there is Buddhism, and there are Buddhist temples. And in between, there is, Christianity. Well, that is, about 1% of the population, call themselves Christian. But there is a kind of, half joke saying among Japanese, when they are born, they are Shinto. They are taken, the newborn babies are taken to a Shinto shrine. And over there, they take their name. They are given their names in a Shinto shrine. And then when they marry in a Christian church. Why? Why not? Because it looks beautiful. That's why. And then when they die, the ceremonies are in a Buddhist temple. So they die as a Buddhist, and burial ceremonies and burial traditions are Buddhist traditions. So throughout their lives, just they are quite flexible in that. Now, this shrine here in one of the historic imperial parks Kinkaku Shrine. It is known especially for its, gold gilded 2 floors out of two of the floors. So it is one of the national heritage sites, and we are going to visit the park and the temple, and there are a couple of other interesting locations to be visited in the same park that we are going to visit. Now, when we are in Kyoto, also, the national alcoholic drink in Japan is sake. That is just generally called as rice wine. It is fermented from rice, yes, and there's a distilled version, which is called shochu. It has more, stronger. It's stronger. It has a more alcohol degree. So we will have an opportunity, possibly. I say possibly because of the pandemic. Just certain places just stopped accepting visitors, but we accept that they will. We hope that they will accept us to visit a sake factory, I should say. So we will learn about the Japanese sake and how that is fermented and what it tastes like, because they are all, like wine, really. They have all different kinds. And we are also going to visit one of the castles. This is Nijo Castle from the beginning of 17th century. And this is here now, one of the main gates of the castle. So we are going to just go into the castle and visit the places that the Lord and the Emperor, they lived and conducted their daily business. So, and on our third night, just our welcome dinner, this is going to be a special dinner. Now, Japanese food is really quite varied, and not only it's delicious, but also its presentation is really quite aesthetic. Now, Japanese, almost everything, the presentation of everything, I should say, they spend really some thought and time into the packaging, into the layout of places, into the food, how it's presented. So this is a traditional Japanese style restaurant. Well, more traditionally, just we should be sitting on the floor, actually, but this is, to make it easier for us Westerners, we have chairs, and some of the food is already ready on the tables, served, and then just they start. This is our group in 2019. This was just before pandemic, that the last time we visited Japan, and then they start serving this special kaiseki. It is called kaiseki dinner. It is a series of small dishes, being brought back to back. And the menu is, well, of course, it is fixed in a sense. So we don't order from a, menu. It is fixed in that sense, but it is not fixed traditionally. Just it is the seasons dictate what the menu is, and the chef dictates what the menu is. So depending on what is available, what is the season, just they prepare each dish daily, one by one, and we are served those dishes back to back. So each dish, generally it's not only for this dish, but for this special meal, but in general, Japanese food, Japanese style of eating is there are just small dishes of various kinds. So you see one dish and you say, look, I think just I'm gonna leave the table hungry. Just this is not enough. It looks like, well, each single dish, well, that is true. It is not enough to, satisfy our appetite. But then comes another dish, and in the end, just we feel really full, and with the blend of all those different tastes, really it is a very unforgettable experience, I should say. The next day, we are going to visit the oldest capital, Nara, which is close to Kyoto, about 30-40 minutes drive from Kyoto. And this was the capital from 710 to 714, just before Kyoto became the capital. And it is known for its huge park with, again, temples. And we will visit one of the main temples over there, which houses Daibutsu, the great Buddha. And we'll also visit the Todaiji temple. Now, this Daibutsu, the great Buddha, that is the biggest, the largest bronze Buddha in all of Japan. It's more than 50 feet tall, sitting in the temple. So we're going to visit the great Buddha statue, plus a number of the temples. And just in between, actually, I think we are going back to the deer. Actually, this area, Nara, is well known for its semi-domestic deer. They are considered, for hundreds of years, they are considered to be sacred. So just people give them food, and they are half domesticated, as I said, and they just walk around, and they learned how to beg food from visitors. So they're kind of cute, but at times they can be, if they don't get what they want, they can be a little bit, intimidating. So we have to be careful about that. But this is one of the, important features of this park and this historic site. So after our 3 nights in Kyoto, we will take the bullet train. Shinkansen is the Japanese name for that. The bullet train from Kyoto to Tokyo, visiting, just a few places on the way, which I'm going to mention in a short while. Now, I have to, before going forward, I have to mention that this Shinkansen, these bullet trains, they are fast, and they are really comfortable, but they're not convenient to carry our own luggage with us. So the Japanese, they don't like doing that, just carrying, just lugging their luggage, from one location to the other. So what they do is there are these courier services that take the luggage one night before, and they deliver it wherever you will be the next day. So that's what we are going to do. The previous night in Kyoto, our final night, we will prepare our luggage. We will just have a night bag with us for our final day. The day that we will drive, we will take the train from Kyoto to Tokyo. We will leave our luggage with the courier service, and they will take our luggage to our hotel in Tokyo. So when we arrive in Tokyo, our luggage will be ready over there waiting for us. That is one thing I have to mention. Now, this Shinkansen, the bullet train service, this is really very convenient. It is not, just between Tokyo and Kyoto, just between main, big hubs, big cities, but all over Japan. There's a big network of these bullet trains, and from 150 miles to 200 miles an hour, depending on the route. They cover distances really in a short time. In about 2.5 to 3 hours, you arrive from Kyoto to Tokyo. This is really very convenient, and as you're going to see if you join the trip, very comfortable. And they have, it is also in public culture. They have just different types of Shinkansen, bullet trains, different themes. This is Hello Kitty themed bullet train, and they occasionally change the colors depending on the season or depending on a festival, depending on whatever is popular. So there are all these different cuteness. That's an important concept in Japan. Maybe I'll mention that later. But there are all these cute bullet trains ferrying people around the country. So we will take this bullet train to not exactly in the middle of Tokyo, but to another station outside to the south of Tokyo, where we will get off and we will drive to a volcanic lake, Lake Ashi. Now, this is the area where Mount Fuji is, the famous Mount Fuji, just the highest peak in Japan, about 12,400 feet, high. And we will drive to this lake, Ashi, the volcanic lake, and we will have a boat cruise. If we are lucky, we will have a view of, well, this is another view from the lake, a torii, a kind of just symbolic temple gate. And we will, if we are lucky, we will have a view of Mount Fuji. As I said, it is a national symbol. It is possible to hike, for those who are in good, not on this trip, I'm talking about, just in general, and especially for the Japanese, it's a cultural kind of cultural, not religious, but cultural pilgrimage to climb Mount Fuji. As I said, the elevation of the peak is 12,400 feet, and it's a dormant volcano. And it is well depicted by photos and in art. Then we will take, at the end of our boat trip, we will take the aerial tram to Mount Komagatake. So this is the view from the top of the mountain, and the volcanic lake, the town at the bottom. And again, if we are lucky, here is Mount Fuji with all its might. I took this photo in an early November morning, so it was quite brisk, chilly, when it is more possible to see the peak of the mountain. So we will have this boat trip and climb up, just take the aerial tram, the cable car, I should say, maybe, on top of this mountain. And if you are lucky, we will have a view of Mount Fuji. Then here is Mount Fuji depiction in a historic print, which is well known in Japanese art. And this is a view from the sky of Mount Fuji again. This is a winter view with covered with snow. And at the end of our day, we will end up in Tokyo. So from Tokyo, as you see on a nice day, it's possible to see again at Mount Fuji in the background. So Tokyo, today's capital, with a population of about 17 million people in the center, and including the whole metropolitan area, about 32 million people. So more than 10% of the people, about 20% of the population of Japan live in or around the capital. And Skytree, the tallest tower, more than 2,000 feet high, or tall, I should say. Just one of our days in Tokyo, we will go up to the observation tower, and we will have a view of the city. Again, if we are lucky, we will see this view. So the city center, well, I should say, as in all, just major metropolitan cities in the world, there is no one center. There are, a bunch of centers of Tokyo. There's a historic center, and there are a bunch of more modern centers with high rises. And here in night view, again, the Sky Tree, this is called, in the background, and the historic center with the historic, what's that, temple in the foreground, which we're going to visit. And yet another view of kind of, early evening, all these neon lights and with the shopping district and financial districts, it's really quite attractive and quite busy, which we are going to experience in the center of Tokyo. And yet another view of one of the nightlife centers in Tokyo, famous for its restaurants and nightclubs and bars. And we arrive, and our next day we will start with the historic center in Asakusa. We will visit Asakusa Kannon Temple. This is the entrance to the temple area. It is very well known, of course, so it's visited not only by visitors, but locals also are there. And in front of the temple, there is Nakamise Shopping Center. When I say shopping center, it is not a modern shopping center. It's the traditional old style, just shopping center made up of small business owners just selling their traditional wares. And on a less busy day, this is what it looks like without the stalls, and the stalls are just behind us, entrance to the temple. So we'll start our visit with the temple complex, Asakusa Kannon Temple. And we'll also, just climb up to the Tokyo Sky Tree, as I mentioned. And then we'll visit Tokyo National Museum, which is really very interesting, which brings together all the artifacts from around Japan, historic artifacts. And we will end up with another special meal in a izakaya. Izakaya is a traditional, well, I should call it a pub, maybe, just that is what it's closer to. Not strictly, but it is more food oriented rather than drinks. So they offer more, just traditional grilled dishes, accompanied by, again, sake, the traditional drink, or beer, or whatever you would like to drink, of course. So, well, eating and drinking, of course, that is an important activity, especially just after long working day, just people go out with their coworkers, and it is most of the time kind of an obligation, when your manager asks you to join for a dinner in this kind of a place, in a eating, drinking place. Generally, just you need to oblige. So the long working hour becomes even longer, and just into the late hours of the night, just people are here eating, drinking with their coworkers or with their friends, if they are lucky, and that continues. Now, traditionally, what we call bar here in the Western world, in the United States, it is not a traditional thing in Japan. Of course, now just there are bars, Western style, but traditionally, just drinking on its own is not the thing. Just you always eat while drinking. So these drinking and eating establishments are all over, and they are the places that Japanese mostly favor. The next morning, we will start with the fish market, Tsukiji fish market. That is, or I should say, was the biggest, fish market in Japan, and it was in the center of Tokyo. Now, of course, the city grew, and this kind of fish market in the center of the city, that was creating problems. So they moved the fish market, which is famous for its fish auctions early in the morning. It's moved to another location outside the city proper. But the old fish market location is still going on with fish stalls, and so we are going to visit that old Tsukiji fish market, and learn about the fresh seafood. And of course, there's always the possibility of having some fresh sushi, or seeing how traditionally fish is prepared. And of course, preparing fish needs sharp knives. So an important location in the fish market is this knife workshop, where they produce and sharpen knives. And Japanese knives are, very well known among chefs, especially. They are very sharp to be able to cut, the raw fish, to slice the sashimi and sushi. You need all these sharp knives. So this is an important tradition, an important trade still in Japan, which we are going to witness in the fish market. From the fish market, we will go to the Imperial Palace Plaza. This is really the political and administrative center of the country. Now, this is as close as we can get to the Imperial Palace. This is, the building we see over there is a part of the palace complex. So the emperor and imperial family, they live here behind those walls. So we are going to visit the park and see what we can see of the Imperial Palace. And from there, we will visit, just close by, an imperial shrine, a Meiji shrine. This is maybe the most important imperial shrine in the country. Again, Meiji Shrine. Now, Emperor Meiji, he is known for modernizing the country. Just we mentioned that, just Japanese imperial family, that is the longest reigning family from 660 BC all the way to today. And the imperial capital or imperial residence started in Kyoto, we said. But I have to mention that although there was this imperial family and there was always an emperor did not always have the power. After the 16th century, 1603, one of the lords, they are called daimyo in Japanese, one of the daimyos, one of the lords, feudal lords, managed to bring together all the other, or dominate all the other lords, all the other daimyos, and unified the country and started his own kind of lineage. He never called himself emperor. So Tokugawa era started 1603 with the unification of the country under that lord. From 1603 all the way to 1868, the country was under the feudal leadership. The emperor was there, living in Kyoto, but he was a puppet emperor. He didn't have much of a power. The country was mostly closed to foreign trade, foreign cultural influences. It was a cocoon period for the country. And 1608, well, until that time, there were a number of, again, just internal disturbances and civil war and everything. And 1868, that was when the emperor in Kyoto managed to take power from the lord from the feudal regime, overthrew the feudal regime, and came with a plan of reformation that started the westernization of the country. So that emperor was Emperor Meiji, and this shrine was built by him, for him. This is the Meiji Shrine, honoring the spirits of Emperor Meiji and his Empress Shoken. So we will visit this shrine and talk about how the Reformation started in Japan, how the modernization started in Japan, starting 1868 all the way to today. And this is one of the main sites that weddings take place. So if we are lucky, and most of the time we are, we may see, bride and groom and the visitors just visiting the shrine and officiating their marriage by a priest in the temple. So of course, just, to be able to have your, wedding in this kind of a prominent shrine, just you have to just contribute some money to the shrine. So that is an important aspect of what goes on there. So after visiting this Meiji shrine, then we are very close to another center of Tokyo, Ginza. It is well known for its department stores, for its high-end stores, and we are going to visit Ginza, especially one or two, department stores. And those department stores are really now that their format is always the same. You go in, of course, department stores, they sell, just jewelry, perfumes on the ground floor, and upper floors are reserved for various, garments and women's clothing, men's clothing, children's clothing, sports, and everything. But we will skip all those. We will go downstairs. One floor down, there is the food section. That is where we're going to go. That is where the activity is, and that is where we're going to see all the, different kinds of fancy food that Japanese are known for. Not the traditional stuff. They have the traditional stuff too, but all the fancy stuff, anything and everything, cooked or uncooked, and pastries and fish and meat and cheese from around the world and from around Japan. Anything and everything we can see here, including the most famous $300 melon. So these are, just individually grown, very carefully selected to be this round and to be this, to be extremely delicious. And Japanese are known to give gifts on special occasions and special days, cultural days, ceremonies, and everything. So these are gift items, basically, to be presented on special occasions or visiting a certain, important person. As I mentioned, they vary from this one here is not that, well, the ones at the bottom are not that expensive. They are more like, $200 each. The ones on the top, they are $300 and more. So depending on how they look, and just you can be sure that they are sweet and really delicious. So this kind of eccentric stuff are sold in those, department store food sections, and we're going to spend some time just visiting that and learning about these culinary and food delights. So that'll be our second day in Tokyo, and our third day will be on our own to explore, and there is a lot. Now, I have to mention, just the daily life in Tokyo. Of course, there is an extensive subway system. It is very efficient and it is very crowded, as you might imagine. And I'm sure just, you must have seen in the news, not recently, but maybe in the recent past. And because of COVID, of course, things changed. That is one thing. But especially during the rush hour in Tokyo, people are packed like sardines in the subway cars. And there are, well, this is kind of an old photo. There are these pushers of the subway system that just push people into subway cars, people who don't want to be late to their offices. And this pushing tradition, this kind of ended. Actually, they don't do it that much nowadays. They have more cars, I suppose. Well, I'm talking about, of course, pre-pandemic conditions. During the pandemic, just of course, I'm sure this changed quite a lot, and they were not using subway at all. But again, these pusher guys are employed by the subway system to increase the capacity of the train cars. So that is one aspect of living in Tokyo. But the trains are, despite all this, they are clean, they are efficient, they are to the second, just on time. And they are well known for that. And Japanese food, of course, here in the States, when we say Japanese food, mostly, we think of sushi, sashimi, maybe miso soup. No, it's not, of course, confined to that. There are seasonal dishes, there are meat dishes, and there are delicious stews, for example, and soups, and they are all presented in an extremely good-looking way. The aesthetics of presentation is really important, and the menus change really seasonally. Sweets are not that sweet. I have to mention that Japanese are not into Western style sweets that much. Of course, there are cakes and puddings and everything, but they're always less sweet than what we are accustomed to having here in the United States. So in that sense, personally, I like that more. I like that less sweet taste. And traditionally, almost all the time, of course, depending on the restaurant and depending on what type of place you go, the dishes are brought either all at once, and you just pick and choose and eat one bite of this and the other bite of that. Or there are, of course, other styles of restaurants that are specialized in chicken with skewers or ramen, noodle shops, dumpling shops, and barbecue shops, and all that kind of stuff. Here we see, for example, at the bottom, we see fish head here. The fish head is really something very special, and that is considered to be the best part of the fish. And if you're just invited to a dinner by a Japanese person for a Japanese family, and if they offer you the fish head, that is the biggest honor. That means just they honor you, they value you that much, and you are the guest of honor for that night. You are given the head of the fish. So in that sense, that is important. And here, just different. This is a set menu meal. On the right hand side, right top, we see just rice. Of course, almost every meal ends up with rice. Now here, this is important. The symbolism here is really important. The red in the middle is this is pickled red plums. I love them. They're delicious. They are really salty though. And just rice with red pickled plum in the middle. What does it look like? It looks like Japanese flag, right? Japanese flag, the symbolism is the red round in the middle that symbolizes the rising sun, the sun rising from the east, from the Pacific Ocean. So this dish, this is kind of, this is the symbolism of the Japanese flag here in your menu. here, and a number of broiled mountain vegetables with the shrimp. This is tempura here. This is fried vegetables and shrimp, and this is tofu grill. Oh no, this is egg. I'm sorry. This is egg, Japanese style omelet with pickled vegetables, and most probably this is tofu here, and this is rice noodles and sashimi I see here, I suppose. So this is a set menu, for example, that you can see or you can get at a traditional style Japanese restaurant, or a bento box. Everything, just in a box here, and different bottles of sake, the Japanese rice wine of different strengths and different styles. Some are sweeter. And another interesting thing, if you're a first timer in Japan, are the vending machines. They have a vending machine for almost everything. This is a vending machine for beer, as you see, and it doesn't ask for ID. So, just what prevents Japanese kids from, just going there and paying 240 yen and getting a can of beer? It's just their, what is that? The training. That's it. Otherwise, there is nothing. Just you have to scan over there to prove that you are 18 or 21. And there are, as I said, this is, for example, this is not actually a vending machine. This is for noodle soup, but this is, you pay here, you get the ticket, and then you go and buy, get your, they prepare in the back and get your noodle soup. But there are vending machines that actually sell noodle soup, hot noodle soup here, and or fresh flowers, or here, for example, fresh eggs. Vending machines for fresh eggs. Every morning, just they renew the eggs over there, and just you go and buy your fresh eggs or milk or hot coffee or almost anything. And again, Japan is known for their toilets, right? Just automatized toilets. The Toto is the well-known brand over there, and here too. And they have all these directions, of course, for foreign visitors. They're written in English too, but they are sometimes, just self-explaining. Sometimes you have to just try and see which one is for what kind of stuff, and they are really fun to use, I would say, the Japanese toilets. And the Japanese style of greeting. They greet each other bowing, right? So the Japanese style of bowing, it is really an important daily ritual. Now, well, I lived in Japan for some time. I worked in Japan. I just lived there on and off for some time, a number of times, and I have been there quite a number of times. So one of the important rituals, this photo was taken in a department store, for example, just when it was the closing time of closing hour of the department store, and these are all department store staff, and I was one of the final customers leaving the store, and all the personnel, all the staff, before closing the store, this is what it looks like here, just greeting the customers and saying good night and goodbye. We are closing up. Thank you for coming and visiting us. Now, there are different, of course, degrees for businessmen. Now, how much you bow, it shows your status and your status in relationship to the other person. The higher your status, the less you bow. The lower your status, the more you bow. So if you're equals, like businessmen here, as you see, kind of equal, from the waist up. And here, these are the managers of these are actually higher up people, managers of a company that was accused of some kind of doing or something. So they are apologizing from their customers. So that's why they are, just bowing all the way, kind of 90 degrees to, a gesture of apology. So that is an important aspect of Japanese life. And these and more we are going to witness if you join this trip and if you go and visit Japan. This is a group of ours, World Affairs Council of Houston group from, I think this was in 2011. So this is our trip to Japan, and we will fly back from Tokyo. So let me stop sharing my screen and start my video. And thanks again for joining. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask. And Amy and I will try to answer. Yes, I see Gary has question. There's a question.
Righto. So I was wondering, in terms of sign up, what are the deadlines for sign up?
Well, yes, the price will be available by the beginning of January, and we appreciate that you sign up by the beginning of January, the first week of January. The tour is at the end of March, and this is a very good time to visit the country. It's a popular time. And now that the country just came out of the pandemic, there is big demand. So we are tentatively holding rooms, but we can't hold them for long. So the earlier we know how many people will be joining this trip and whether we'll be able to operate this trip as it is, the better for everybody. So we ask that please sign up by the first week of January.
Okay, thank you. One more quick question. You mentioned the lockdown a little bit. They're coming out of it, and you mentioned, like, for instance, the sake factory may or may not still be locked down. Do you know the situation there in terms of what's locked down and what's not?
Well, it's not locked down, actually. Just, certain private enterprises, they after the pandemic, some of them chose to open up to, to the general population, and some haven't. So that is what the difference is. Otherwise, they're out of lockdown for everything. They are not like China or anything. The life is back to normal. But certain private enterprises, they like this, sake factory. They chose until now they chose not to open up for visits. They are, the workers are there. They're back in production and everything, but they don't accept. They don't have. I don't know what their logic is, but they are not open for visitors to come and visit the museum part and the factory part. That.
Case by case basis.
Case by case, exactly. But the places we are going to visit are open. For example, in our previous tours, one of the regular places that we would visit would be in Kyoto. There was this theater that had the program of traditional dances and traditional Japanese music. The place is closed down completely. They couldn't survive. They couldn't survive the pandemic for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So if there are positive changes, until the end of March, and if we are sure that we are going to operate this tour, then we will try to incorporate, a number of additional stuff. But as of now, this is what we have.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question. When is cherry blossom in Japan?
Cherry blossom, yes, cherry blossom season. Of course, there is no fixed time. Generally, it is from mid-March to the first week of April, and it starts from south, apparently, right, as the weather gets warmer. So Hiroshima, Kyoto, and then Tokyo, and then goes up north. So by the time we are there, it is actually officially cherry blossom time, cherry blossom season. So that is why it's popular. But whether they will start, the blossoming, most probably they will, because there's also the, just climate getting warmer, by, every year. So there is a high possibility that we'll be able to see blossoms at least, in a couple of places, if not all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm. It's not a promise though, but my experience is even years ago there was it started, the blossoms already started by mid-March. So by now, I mean, for 2023, I would hope that they would start blossoming.
Sure, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or practical stuff? No visas are required for Japan, and just vaccination is fine. There's no, tests or anything required as of now. As I mentioned before, flights will be on EVA Air. I mean, of course, you're free to fly on whatever airline you want to. If you want to go early, come late. That is why it's just we have these free. We have half day free in Kyoto. We have one full day free, at leisure in Tokyo, so that you can walk on your own and explore. It's really, really very interesting country, very interesting cities, both of them. And the hotels we're going to stay at, now we deliberately chose to stay at 4-star, 3.5 to 4-star hotels to keep the cost at a reasonable level. They are clean, nice places, of course. The rooms are known to be, in general, in Japan, hotel rooms are known to be smaller. So you need to be prepared for that. That is one thing. Hotels are all just 2 hotels basically are centrally located with AC and everything. So there is that. And Japan is known for its earthquakes. It is a daily occurrence. So, just early in the morning, I know, a bunch of times I woke up with some tremor and, it wasn't a big thing and you continue sleeping. So people are totally accustomed to that. And of course, Japan is well known for its very strict rules that are enforced for buildings. So unless it is, an extremely big, once in a century, once in a, in 200 years kind of an earthquake, the country's, earthquake proof, more or less.
Mhm.
Ilya.
Yep.
You were saying something about extension of the trip to.
Oh yes, yeah. Taipei.
Would it be before the Japan or afterwards?
After is better because of the flight connections. Because now the thing is, the airport, we arrive Kansai International Airport. That is, just well outside Kyoto. So transfer from there to Kyoto is not that easy. If you come individually, of course, just we can arrange, transfer, and you can just, there are shuttle buses and everything that would take you. But that is more cumbersome. So if we arrive all together, that will be easier. On the way back, though, we'll fly into Taipei, and arrival time in Taipei is around, what is that, 4:50 p.m. I'm checking as we talk here. Yes, 4:55 p.m. from Tokyo to Taipei, 4:55 p.m. arrival in Taipei. That's perfect. So we'll be transferred to our hotel in Taipei, spend the night, and then we'll have 3 nights in Taipei with 2 full days of sightseeing. And then on the 4th day, again, the flight is rather late at 10 p.m. So that means the 4th day will be on your own in Taipei. You can explore on your own. So coming back is much more convenient for an extension, for a stay in Taipei.
Okay. And you don't need visa.
If that's something that you're interested in, you can just let us know. And if we get enough people interested, we can add it on to the trip.
Yeah, we can send the itinerary.
Okay. I would like to wish you all a happy holiday and safe and warm now.
Thank you. Thank you to all of us.
I never thought I would say that in Houston, but man,
I have a question. Do we need a
Sure.
visa to go Japan?
No, no visa is needed.
Okay,
No visa for Japan, no visa for Taiwan.
great, thanks.
Sure.
well, thank you, Amy, thank you,
Thank you, Luna.
everybody,
If you
Ilya,
want to take,
Thanks, everyone.
most of all.
if you want to take advantage of the 250 off, just let me know by the time, by end of business day on January 2nd, and I'll, mark that down that you're taking 250 off this trip. If you choose another trip, again, just let me know. And hopefully I'll see you guys on a trip next year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Amy,
Yes,
where are you
everyone.
gonna be between now and second?
At
Are you-
home.
Okay. No, I mean, do you have like a home email address or something in case I need to ask you?
No, I'm not
Well,
going
I'll
to
ask, I'll ask Ilya. I have his number.
be, yeah, I'm not going to be working. So
But still email. You can just email, either of us, and that will count. So that's fine. Either for
Yeah.
questions or for, signing up.
Hopefully it will not happen. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Thank
then. Good
you.
night, everyone. Thanks again.
night,
for
everyone.
joining.